Hi everybody, welcome to my channel. I'm so happy to have you here today. Today we're going to be talking about the feminine, and we're going to be talking about what the feminine really is and explaining it in a way that maybe you haven't heard before. So right now I'm getting a lot of questions around the feminine, questions around that terminology and what it means for our world, what it means for us. And so I've talked about the feminine before in other previous videos. Now I haven't made a dedicated video to it. I've talked about it sprinkled here and there. Why? Because this is something that has been very clear to me for a very long time. I'm not a feminist, but I've been very in tune with the feminine energy from a very young age. And I've been very close to that despite being in the masculine energy for many years and being completely disconnected from my heart in a way that is totally different now. So I have had both sides of the spectrum when it comes to masculine and feminine energy, but I've never lost sight of the feminine energy and how important it is and how special it is and how it's not seen as very special in our world. I came across this a lot in my life, in my career, in my personal relationships, in my family, lots of things where people were not valuing the energy of femininity, of the feminine energy. And so, feminine energy is something that is the creation energy. It's actually an energy that is potential, it's the part prior to manifestation. The creation energy holds a lot of potential there. The energy is very high, very great. It's how anything comes into existence is through feminine energy. You can think of this energy as something very, very heightened, very, very full. And so this energy could be thought of like right before a race. There used to be a Greyhound Park, and I went to it a couple times. And I would hang out in the lower levels, and the lower level is where the dogs are at. And so I could hear the dogs. I even went outside and would be near where they would have them kind of in their stalls prior to letting them go on their race. And what happens down there is that they're basically whimpering, whining, just wanting to get out, having all this anticipation and energy growing and growing. And they're scratching and they're barking and they're ready to go. And you can hear them. And as soon as they say go, they get released and they go. And so this is the energy that I'm talking about, the energy in those stalls. So that energy has a lot of power, but it's also the energy of being. It has a lot of polarity even within itself, like anything. So you're going to find that even though there is this potential energy and there's the energy of creation, there is also the energy of plain just being. And so I've talked about feminine energy in the past, equating it to my non dual realization. Although I've had other awakenings, other openings in my life, the non dual realization was a realization that was in the feminine energy, which is the way I describe it. And I say it that way because it is in a way that you get into a state of total being, accepting, allowing, and you develop a flow with life. You develop a connection with life. And so that is the energy of being, while the energy that is masculine is of doing. Doing is of efforting, of willing, of going after, of making it happen, of basically everything we think of with masculine, of organization, structure. And so the feminine is that flow that you can equate to like water. It can go anywhere. It's you can't hold it. You try to pick it up, you can't hold water. Water just flows and it goes where it needs to go, where those crevices are, where it's needed. So feminine energy is also very cleansing like the water. It's very healing like the water. So it has those properties to it. It also has properties that are very opposite to water. It has properties of soil, of dirt, of darkness, of you can think of it of that time prior to birth, of the seed, of going under. And we've talked about this in some recent videos. So it has also that energy of darkness, of going and going under and really introspecting with oneself. Okay. And it has the properties of soil as well. It has nourishment. It has the potential for life to grow. That's the soil. And so all of that is needed. This is the foundational energy for creation. And so when we mix that with the masculine energy, we have reality. We have something that is now created, that we can see, that is an illusion that we can see now. So the power of the feminine energy is very important. But what has been happening is a shift and change. We have been very much in humans' history in the masculine energy. And so I talked about this in one video before, and maybe a couple, that I had a vision one time when I was in a bath where I saw my timeline as a child. And I think it was shown, and it was just myself seeing this vision. And so for this, seeing myself as a child, I think was kind of like a prerequisite to see the next thing that I saw. Because when I saw my timeline as a child, I began to see how there was changes and how there was jumps and how the faces or the emotions would change, whether that was happy, sad, whatever it happened to be, and then there would be a change. And you could kind of sense that there was different energies. Those were the feminine and the masculine energies playing together and what would happen from them. So that was kind of my prerequisite to seeing the next timeline that I would see. Because it was my own timeline, I could make perfect sense of what had happened there. All of a sudden, I saw the timeline of the time of the virus, the COVID, and it appeared like a human's timeline, just like mine, but it wasn't that. It was that of Earth. And it showed these different things just like mine. And one of them was the virus. And when that happened, there was a huge shift into the feminine energy because I could perceive that there was more masculine prior, and it shifted to more feminine into a whole other timeline. And there was something there, almost like a clause or information, that it was not going to go back. This was now the timeline that had been chosen because everyone, the collective, had chosen it in its experience of introspection. So while that virus was happening, it wasn't determined what would happen, if we would go masculine or feminine or whatever. That potential is always there to shift and change. Even if the world had been going more feminine in that moment, you can always shift and change. So just like the world within as without. So you can do the same internally within yourself. So that shift happened because it was chosen. It was allowed, like everything else is. And so that went into the more feminine energy, which is now taking us on another road. And it's a different road. It's a different world than the masculine world. It's a world where it's a little more magical. It's a little less predictable. The feminine energy is very much connected directly to nature through its cycles, through its seasons, through its changes and connection deep to nature. So you're going to see a lot more changes where we're moving more into nature, whether we're spending more time in nature, whether we're protecting nature, whether we're exploring and learning more about nature, but we're going to be going more towards nature. I feel like we're going more towards nature in a lot of different ways as of now, and it's just going to continue going that way, whether that's in medicine. And, people can argue we're going in the opposite way. And what will happen for some time is that you'll feel like a pull to the opposite end of something that's happening. And that's actually only giving it momentum to go more the other way. So a lot of people get upset with politics and so many different things because they don't like this side or that side or whatever it happens to be. Just realize that these extremes are being pulled to go more in another direction, actually. So where you see that pull, it's actually going more towards the opposite in more force. So fear not, there is nothing wrong here. Everything is in control. Everything is okay. This is perfection. Okay. We have to not take this so seriously sometimes. This is just all a play of life. So we're talking about polarities here, and this is why we do have these differences and shifts and changes. But we are moving more towards this way of being that is more in the being energy. As a matter of fact, in the feminine energy, we were more in the doing energy of creating, of the utilitarian lifestyle of creating structures, setting all of this up for ourselves. and we've done a very good job. And now our structures have been set up, and whether you agree or not, whether they're good or whatever, they are set up. And we have structures, and we are at a certain point in humanity that we can actually turn and switch more into the feminine energy. Because feminine energy always exists. We can think about the male and female relationships and or same sex, because each one of us holds more feminine or masculine energy even in same sex relationships. So thinking about relationships where one person is more feminine and one is more masculine, there's always going to be that. There's always going to be one or the other. It doesn't ever really work where there's two masculine energies. Now, don't get that confused. It's not two male bodies. We're talking about energies here. You're really going to find in every relationship there is both. And so we're going to have both, and the foundation is the feminine. Okay, so the foundation is the feminine, and the masculine goes after the feminine. And the feminine, is the receiver. That's a very big piece to this. The masculine is the giver. The feminine is the receiver. So she is there in the state of being. She's playing, she's being herself, whatever, or he is playing and whatever, and just doing their thing when the masculine, who is the doer, sees that. And now he comes alive. She's the potential energy. She's just being. That's the potential. She's not doing anything here. He comes alive with that potential energy. And so he comes to give something. Give and receive. We're giving and receiving at all times. And so that energy of the feminine is ready to receive. And so we're also in that place in humanity that we're ready to receive. We've done a lot of work. We've set up our structures. We've gone through a lot of things in history, a lot of things, a lot of things. And now we've come to the point where we can relax a little bit. Life is getting a little bit easier. There's more abundance. We don't have to struggle as much. The structures have been set up. They make sense. People aren't getting hurt as much. There's more safety. Now, whether or not you see this or not, it's actually happening. And so we're moving more into this energy where the masculine structure or the masculine container is built safely and well. It's a well built structure. So now the feminine can come out and play. This is the oracle. This is the time where the feminine is now ready to play. Just like in a relationship, let's say that the masculine comes in and gives to the feminine, and she receives, and they go into union. And so now they're into union. Let's say that's marriage or a relationship together, living together. And so the masculine, whatever that energy is, whether it's the female or the male, is out there. He's setting up the structure, he's getting the money, he's setting up the home, he's setting up everything that is needed to set up a good and safe and good structure. That's what the masculine does. It provides safety, security, all of those things that are needed. And once that structure is created for the feminine can now relax and play. The feminine can now play. So maybe the feminine had been working. Well, now the masculine has created such a wonderful structure that the feminine can choose whether or not she wants to play or work or whatever. She is set free, and she goes on her way to do whatever it is that the heart, the sacred heart, desires. So this is just a story, a play of life that happens within this illusion that we're talking about. It's not so serious. But it works this way. We can identify patterns. We can identify the way things work. And so when that happens, the feminine now goes out and she can play, she can explore her talents, her gifts. And in turn, she actually begins to give those talents and things, begin to nourish everything. And that's how the soil happens. All of the things that I talked about before, the feminine being like soil, the feminine being like water. That is how she is able to nourish others, because she is free and she is able to play and fill herself with all of the beautiful things that life has. And she is safe in her container that the masculine side of her has provided, because everything is part of her. So many times in society, we pin the males or masculines against the feminine of who needs to work. Stay-at-home moms are not that great, and moms that go to work are. And then if we flip it, and stay-at-home moms are the essential, and and moms that work are no good and stuff. We flip between all of these extremes. We flip between all of these extremes, okay? And that's all just to say that these extremes are just that. They're stories, they're extremes. We don't have to take them so seriously. But there does seems to be a flow and a rhythm to this, and that's what the feminine is bringing to this. And so I'm very much in tune with those feminine rhythms and cycles. And that's why I like to share this with you. And one of those things that's happening is that we are shifting more into the feminine side of things. So we're going to be seeing a lot of things flipping upside down. A lot of the structures that have been built are going to break, are going to be destroyed. Because there's another aspect to the feminine that maybe you haven't seen. And this is the dark feminine. The dark feminine destroys, tears down structures that no longer serve. The feminine, the dark feminine, seeks truth with a vengeance. The dark feminine wants to uncover everything that has not been seen in the light. So the dark feminine will go after any injustice and let it be seen, any secrets and let them be shown. Everything will come forward because that is the dark feminine protecting in that way. The masculine protects in one way, the dark feminine protects in truth, protects in emotions. There's many emotions that many people and many of you have not been feeling into, many situations and traumas that you can't face. Many of you can't even face your own body in the mirror without your clothes on. The dark feminine turns you inward into seeing all of your emotions, dealing and sitting with any traumas, and embracing and loving every part of yourself through self love. So, to do this, you have to get raw, bare, naked in front of everything and deal with every bit of part of you. See it for what it truly is, for what it has done for you, and love it in turn. Give it forgiveness and love it. So the dark feminine is going to do this with all aspects of yourself and of life and of the world. So many things are happening in the world. They have been happening, just like they continue to happen even within ourselves. These things are continually coming up to be cleared. So the dark feminine does that. The dark feminine really is very good at this. So it is that energy. So you're also going to be seeing, yes, more flow, more beauty, even all of this stuff in our world. But you're also going to be seeing destruction, things tear down, structures that were once built, even whether they're government structures, whether they're religious organizations and structures, whether they're dogmas or ideas that were set up. They're going to be dismantled and broken down. And this is going to be a lot for some people, especially for people that are older and seeing so much change because the people that are coming into the world are changed. Every new generation is different than the one prior. So the older generation is different than the ones that are just being born now. And there's going to be kind of this, like I talked about, even in relationships, this kind of distance and space between the older generation and the younger ones, where the younger ones come in already knowing so many of these things and working on changing these structures right away. The older ones continue to hang on to them and pull in this direction. But pretty soon, time and the natural ways of things, the fall, autumn, the death of life, will take care of this. But for those that are still here, there is a change coming, and it's actually not anything that you can stop. From what I have seen, this is just happening. You can't stop this. You can certainly um, do what you can to make the best of your situation. And that's what we all should do at all times, because this is the only moment there truly is. So if in this moment these structures are changing, in this moment this is what's happening, how can you make this moment the best without resisting it, without clinging on to things of the past that are no longer working? We look at the past. We can see the past now. We can look and see in hindsight all of those things that we thought were right back then, but now have changed and it's different now. And whether you want to say it or not or agree, things are safer, things are easier, there is more abundance now. And that's the progression of things. But the reason that we feel like things are worse is because we're still stuck back here. Some of us are still very much in that older time. And yes, it was very beautiful. And yes, we had good times. But these times are very beautiful as well. As a matter of fact, if you just let go and stop resisting life, you will be in heaven. And I don't mean this in a silly way, I mean this in a real way. I mean this in a truly real way. When you stop resisting life and you completely surrender into your feminine side, into that state of being, allowing yourself to be that water that flows into every crevice, wherever it happens to be, and you allow yourself to feel your emotions and really go in and get to know who you truly are and actually find the beauty in who you are, your true self love. Get into that. Once you get into loving yourself truly for who you are, dealing with all those emotions that are there, freeing yourself of that, you are in heaven. It's as simple as that. It's as simple as that. And so all of this is leading you back to yourself, which I call the heart. The heart is really just a metaphor, a symbol for what is your true self, the absolute truth of life. And as the divine feminine myself, I seek the truth. What I want is for a whole of humanity to see the beauty in life, to venerate life, to see the beauty in all of the trees, the blades of grass, the small insects, the intelligence that's held within every single one of these things, to see the beauty of yourself, the creation that you are right now as you're this character, the life that's lived, the beauty of it, the beauty of this body, everything that you've not liked about yourself that you can actually love. I would love to see the truth of that, to see each and every one of you experience love for yourself, love for everything, and the truth of it all. So if this sounds good to you and you want to start following this path, it's as simple as following your heart. So if you like this sort of content, subscribe to my channel. Watch my videos about the heart, and you can simply watch some of these videos and completely align to your heart that way. But if you'd like to partner alongside me and be part of this journey together, I offer a one-on-one course, and I also offer a group course. So I offer one-on-one coaching now. And I have that in my description and in my comment section down below. There's a sales page there. I also offer the group collective course, which is called the unconditional course. The unconditional course is a course that reorients you to your heart. It already has all of the information that you will need as you go along this journey. It's not as simple as you think. Yes, you can just follow your heart, and your heart will lead you down that way. But the dark feminine will bring a lot of things up for you. It will have a lot of things to clear up for you. It will want to bring truth forward. And because of that, it can take a lot on the body. It can take a lot on the person, really, on the character. And so this course is meant to support you through all of that, through my own experiences and the things that I learned and was able to utilize as tools in my toolbox. I have put all of that into this course so that you can have that along your own journey following the heart. I can't make you follow the heart. I can't do this for you, but I can be there to support you. So if you need that support, I'm right here for you, and that information is available in the description and comments. Thank you so much for watching. Share this video, get this video out there. We are going to be moving into a more feminine earth, a more Mother Earth, as you want to call it. Even picture it that way. It really is that. Have you seen the picture of Mother Earth? You know, kind of this green earth with lots of growth and foliage and lots of beauty. That's what it is. That's where we're going into. It's a beautiful paradise. So the question is, will you come with me on this paradise, to this paradise? Are you ready to live in paradise? If so, let's go. Come on. It's right here and now. Let's go ahead and start aligning with our feminine sides and being there, present in this moment, like the feminine demands us to do so. The feminine demands us to stop working. The feminine says, come here, play, put down your work, let's dance, let's sing, let's eat, let's play, let's make love. The feminine is ready for you now. Why don't you go into her arms? That's where heaven is. I hope you'll be there.